Hello students, how are you all? Welcome back to the economics lecture. Today we will continue our chapter, development. Last class you all saw how average income is not the correct way to measure the development of different countries. You all saw how it hides many disparities, how we saw comparison of two countries of 5 citizens. And although the average income is same in both the countries, you all saw that one country had rich and poor while the other did not. And hence, we concluded that per capita income is not the correct measure of development. Today, we will look at other criteria for comparing the development between two regions, and we will learn about sustainable development so that while developing, we do not end up exhausting all our resources. Average income cannot be used for comparisons because they hide disparity. So which other criteria can we compare two countries on? We can compare two countries on the basis of their education level, literacy rate. We can also compare the number of children attending school, the healthcare facilities, the health of the citizens, and so many other options.
Several criteria other than per capita income are used to evaluate the economic development in different countries.
So these are some other criteria that we can consider. We should actually consider all these with per capita income to compare two countries. Infant mortality rate. This is the number of children that die before the age of 1 year as a proportion of 1,000 children born in that particular year. So out of 1,000 children born, how many percentage of children die? Literacy rate, it is the proportion of literate population of the age 7 and above. It's the proportion of literate population of the age 7 and above. Life expectancy is how long does a person live, the average life, the average death age. Enrollment ratio is the number of children enrolled into a school on with comparison to the number of children in that area. Human Development Index, also called as HDI. Well, Human Development Index is it stands for Human Development Index, and it is a accumulation of the data together. All data together. Body mass index is a way to check your personal fitness level. Your personal fitness level. Okay. So these are some other criteria for comparing two countries. But we will be
or different states in India.
We are going to be comparing 3 different states in India, and we will see most of these criteria that you see on the screen right now.
Let's take an example. Here's a graph that shows the per capita income in 3 states of India. Punjab, with the highest per capita income, may be considered the most developed state in this group.
So this is the statistics of 3.
Yeah.
This is the statistics of 3 different states, Punjab, Bihar, and Kerala. And on the screen, you can see the per capita income That is the average income of a person living in that area. You can also see that Punjab is the highest per capita income. That means an average person living in Punjab earns much more than Kerala or Bihar. Now, based on this particular statistics, you can easily say that on the basis of this criteria, Punjab is the most developed. But if we see the infant mortality rate, if you look at the infant mortality rate, Punjab and Bihar are much higher than Kerala. Punjab and higher both have a more infant mortality rate than Kerala. Now, do you know how happy your parents are when it's your birthday? Now think of those parents whose children will die even before he's 1 year old. How painful must it be for those parents? And this data that we see on the screen is pretty recent. It's 2018, it's not very old. So even after 70 years of independence, when we in the cities are living in high-rise buildings and we have shopping malls and these multiplexes, these states have a higher infant mortality rate. That means 49 out of 1,000 children die even before they reach the age of 1. In Kerala, 12 children out of 1,000 die before reaching the age of 1. But in Bihar, again, there are 60. So if we consider this criteria, you can say that Kerala is the most developed. Now let's look at the literacy rate. According to the literacy rate, Kerala has the most literate people, and so it is considered the most developed.
Thus, based on this criterion, it appears more developed than Punjab. Did you know the district with the highest literacy rate in India is Aizawl in Mizoram, and the district with the lowest literacy rate is Dantewada in the state of Chhattisgarh? Let us also compare the net attendance ratio, or the percentage of children in the age group of 6 to 10 years who attend school in these states.
Okay, so they have shown you the net attendance ratio of children from 6 to 10 years, the ones who attend school. If you look at it, in Bihar, children from 6 to 10 years, they do not attend school. There are only 41 children out of 1,000. In Kerala, it's 91, and in Punjab, it's 81. The reason you can read and write today is because you attended school. So imagine if you lived in Bihar, nearly half of your class would be missing right now. So out of all the children, age group of 6 to 10, only 41% attend school in Bihar. So even according to this, Kerala has the highest net attendance ratio, and hence it's the most developed. Now, these statistics also tell us another thing. If you compare Punjab and Kerala, you can see that the per capita income of Punjab is higher than Kerala. But in everything other, like in infant mortality rate, Kerala has less, literacy ratio is high, net attendance ratio is high. So why do you think there is this change? In Punjab, a person earns more than a person earning in Kerala. Then why do you think the children die more there? Why do you think people are not attending schools there? Why do you think the literacy ratio is less there? Because although you have the money in your pocket, it will not buy you all the goods and services that you need. public facilities are very, very important. This clearly tells us that Kerala has better healthcare and educational facilities available to the public. You know, uh, even if you have so much money, there is no guarantee that you won't get COVID. Yes? So, money will not be able to protect you from infections. Money cannot give you pollution free air. Money cannot give you unadulterated food. Okay? Unless and until a community as a whole does something, accepts something, decides to practice something, it will not take effect. If you alone in your house practice social distancing, do you think you will stay safe from COVID? Or do you think the entire building or the entire area as a whole should practice social distancing? Anything, the best way and the cheapest way for anything is only when done collectively. Similarly, public facilities is something that a government provides collectively to its citizens. Yeah, so, public facilities are facilities that are arranged by a group of people or by the government and enjoyed by a large group of people collectively is called public facilities. Some examples are hospital, school, roads, railways, communication services, power generation and distribution. Okay, so these things are provided either by arranged by the government or by a group of people. So public facilities are important for development because most of the basic human needs like education, transport, healthcare, etc. are satisfied through public facilities. Public arrangement for facilities reduces the cost of living of people to a very large extent. Public facilities are the basis for development, which enables the people to earn by creating employment and providing infrastructure such as transport, bank, insurance, safety, and security. Public facilities also help reduce the gap between rich and poor because both of them become an equal, they both have equal rights on these public facilities. They also help in conservation of resources because if you're traveling by a public transport, you know that the resource is not being solely used by you, but by a mass of people, lots of people use it. The public facilities are directly reflected in the comparisons between Kerala and Punjab that we saw. Kerala has better public facilities, better healthcare, better education system, and hence the public distribution system in Kerala is much better and functions well. The health and nutritional status of the people living in the areas where public distribution system is well ensures that people have a better status of living. Now, in your textbooks on page 12, there is one activity, activity 2, in which you have to study a table that they have given to you and you have to write down some numbers, you have to do some calculations. So please complete that as homework. Okay, now I want to show you all one more thing. This is another activity that I want you all to do as homework. You are going to calculate your body mass index. I'm showing you on the screen how you will do it, so please pay attention.
Is to find your body mass index. To calculate your body mass index, first measure your weight in kilograms. Suppose your weight is 45 kilograms. Next, measure your height in meters. Suppose your height is 150 centimeters or 1.5 meters. Your body mass index is equal to your weight in kilograms divided by the square of your height in meters. Thus, with these figures, your body mass index will be 20. You can find your
So you will calculate your height and weight, and you are going to find out your body mass index. And you will find out after getting your body mass index,
current health status by referring.
You will find out your current health status, whether you are normal, undernourished, or overweight. Now, if you all remember, I had shown you all some statistics last class about the World Bank, the one that the World Bank brings out, the World Development Report. And these were purely based on the per capita income. And we have now realized that income, we have realized that income is not the only way to measure development. Okay, and we can make a long list of criteria that can be helped in comparing different countries. But we cannot compare always on a long list. So we need to shortlist it and look at only the important things, the most important things out of them. Some of them can be health, education, the ones that we saw in the comparison of Kerala and Punjab. Okay, and over the years, people have understood that measuring development is more to do with the citizen of that country, how happy or how developed or how comfortable he or she is. Okay, so that brings us to Human Development Report, which is published by UNDP.
To the BMI indicator publishes a Human Development Report.
The UNDP publishes a Human Development Report periodically, and this report compares countries based on educational level of the people, their health status, and also their per capita income. So let's just look at this data that we have. Okay, it compares on these three things. Just look at this data that we have.
And its other neighboring countries. Sri Lanka is ahead of India in other developmental criteria, capita and health status. According to the 2004 Human Development Report, the per capita income in Sri Lanka was higher than in India and its neighboring countries.
So this is a 2004 report. In your books, you have a 2017 report, and you will see both of it. In both of this that we have, we can see that Sri Lanka, although being a very small country, is much ahead of India in every respect. Even in the life expectancy, even in the literacy rate, and even in the gross enrollment ratio, we can see that Sri Lanka is ahead of us in most of it. So it is important in development to see what is happening to the citizens of the country. It is people, their health, their well-being that is most important. Now, this is the Human Development Index by UNDP. So we saw two statistics. One was by the World Bank and one was by UNDP. I wanted to just do a quick difference between the two. UNDP stands for United Nations Development Program. Okay, so while World Bank reports compares only on the basis of income, UNDP compares basically on income, health, and education. World Bank will classify the country into three categories, and UNDP does not categorize country, instead it just gives rank. World Bank publishes a World Development Report and UNDP publishes Human Development Report. World Bank considers only the economic perspective while comparing. And UNDP, it's a multi-dimensional as it considers different aspects of sustainable human development. World Bank is applicable to all countries of the world. UNDP is applicable only to the member countries of the world of UNDP. Only the ones who have participated in UNDP. Okay.
Availability of resources and an idea for the productive use of the available resources leads to development. As more and more development happens, more and more resources get used up. Let us understand this through a few examples. Increase in cultivation is an indicator of development. However, as cultivation increases, more and more resources like groundwater get used up. Increase in industrialization also indicates development. However, increase in the number of industries leads to increased use of natural resources like ores and minerals. Similarly, increase in the number of personal and commercial vehicles is also part of development. However, increase in the number of vehicles is leading to more demand for fuel and thus faster depletion of limited petroleum resources. The resources used for development may be renewable resources like groundwater or non-renewable resources like ores and minerals, including petroleum. We have limited stocks of non-renewable resources that are lost forever once used. The charts here show the...
Okay. So you all saw that development happens at the cost of our resources. You saw that the groundwater, although it's a renewable resource, if we overuse it, we will be out of it because this resource is replenished by nature. And if we use it faster than it is replenished, we will not have any. And with non-renewable resources, they will get exhausted after use. We have a fixed stock on Earth, and these resources, these non-renewable resources cannot be replenished also. So nowadays, we are finding new ways because we know we are going to run out of crude oil and fuel very fast. So like you saw,
including petroleum. We have limited stocks of non-renewable resources that are lost forever once used.
These are some non-renewable resources, and if we use them, these are these are non-renewable resources, and we are not going to be able to make them. So there is a need to find new resources, new ways to run our things. Okay. So if you look at crude oil that is extracted from Earth, it is a non-renewable resource. However, we may find a source of oil that we were not aware of earlier. So explorations are being undertaken not only for crude oil, but many other things, so that we can find new ways.
There may be a time in future when we may run out of resources, leading to a situation where no more development will be possible. This is where the concept of sustainability of development comes in. Sustainability of development involves finding ways for continuous development without the risk of running out of resources or causing irreparable damage to the environment. Sustainability of development involves more efficient use of our existing resources, exploration to find fresh reserves of resources, and coming up with innovative ideas and technology to use new resources in place of conventional ones. Sustainability of development is now a global concern because the future of mankind in all regions of the world depends on it.
So, with this, I end today's class. Remember, we should always remember that this world is not inherited by our forefathers, but it's borrowed from our children. So, development cannot be development at the cost of our future. So, now I am going to attach some notes in the description box with some question answers. Write them down in your notebook. With this, I end today's class. Stay home, stay safe, take care, and keep learning.